Hello everyone, this is Debbie Henderson from Debbie's Designs. Welcome to my afternoon tea time and a card. This is episode number 31. I can see you guys all coming on. I'm just going to hold off just for a bit. Hi everyone. Okay, I can see everyone arriving. So today I am actually using the His Love stamp set. What's funny about this, you guys, some of you guys on the Facebook page noticed that I went to use this last week, and when I opened it up, I only had one stamp in here. I actually lost my stamp set, and then I found it in between two file folders. So I'm ready to go today. I've got 3 projects for you. If you're watching this later on YouTube, you can join us on Facebook for all of my live videos, and you just need to find the Stampin' Ink Designs group on Facebook. So hello everyone. Let's get started. So I'm doing 3 projects for you today. I'm going to give you some of the supplies I'm using. I just want to make sure, I'm hoping you guys can all hear me okay. I'm still messing with my webcam settings, you guys, so I'm hoping today will be better. I am using the Everyday Label Punch Memento Tuxedo Black ink, the His Love stamp set, and I'll introduce the rest of the products as I show you the cards that I'm creating. So there's card number 1. I am going to use the Gilded Gems. And I'm using the old olive colored ribbon from all the trimmings combo. This actually comes with a red and green combo, and I'm using the green. Okay, you guys are all giving me the thumbs up so you guys can hear me. Now I'm going to use a post-it note because I'm going to do some masking today. My card base is Rich Razzleberry 11 by 4 1/4, scored at 5 1/2. I'm going to glue a couple of the layers on, and then I'm going to show you the card. You know how I like to tease you. Blushing Bride 5 1/4 by 4. That's going to go right to the card front. And then I've got some designer paper, and I can't remember the name of it's the one with all the little houses. And this measures 5 by 3 3/4. I'm going to glue that on the front. So we got lots of layers on this one. Now, would you guys ever think of using these colors together? This is actually a pretty color combination. So Rich Razzleberry, Blushing Bride, and Old Olive. So let me show you the card. So this is the first one I'm doing. I'm going to show you how I did the cross sitting behind the book. That's called masking if some of you guys are new to stamping. First, I'm going to go ahead and wrap the ribbon around the card base twice. Make sure you open up your card when you do the ribbon. You don't want to wrap around both layers because then you won't be able to open it. So I'm going to go twice around. And then I'm going to tie my knot. And you guys have seen me do my ribbon before where I never waste my ribbon by cutting it ahead of time. I leave it on the spool. I tie my bow, and then I'm going to cut it. So I've gone ahead and wrapped this around twice. Whoops, I lost my ribbon. Now I'm going to bring in my loops to make them smaller. I'm going to push this right to the center, and then I'm going to go ahead and trim the ends. So there's my pretty bow. And you can see that this ribbon has gold around the edges. It's really pretty ribbon. Okay, now we're ready to do the stamping. So my piece of Whisper White, this one measures 4 1/4 by 3. I'm going to be using the Bible image, the cross image, and then the hope and faith sentiments. I'm going to start out with the little Bible image. Because it's a little bit larger than my ink pad, I'm going to ink it upside down. It's easier to add the ink that way. And I'm going to go ahead and stamp this at an angle. Okay, so there's my first one. I need to stamp this again because I need to stamp the cross so it's sitting behind the Bible. That's where my little post-it note comes in. So I'm going to ink this again. And I'm going to try to stamp this right at the top where it's sticky underneath. I want some of that stickiness. And I'm not going to cut all of this because I'm really only stamping at the top of it. So I'm going to start a little bit off to the side. And when I am cutting, you'll notice I am cutting inside the lines. And I'll explain why once I do my stamping. So always cut inside the lines. You want it to be just a tad bit smaller. Okay, and that's all I'm going to cut. Now what I'm going to do is place this right on top of the first one that I stamped. And you'll see when I place it on top, I can actually see the ink lines. That's what I want. Now we're going to go ahead and do the cross. Put lots of ink. I'm going to stamp right on top of the post-it note. And the reason I always cut my post-it note smaller, where the two images meet, if you are covering that line, you're going to have a white space in between that. So by doing this a little bit smaller when you cut it and being able to see the ink lines, you won't have any white space. Just like magic. Okay, now I'm going to do just a little bit of coloring. And I am using light Old Olive and dark Blackberry Bliss to match the cardstock. I'm just going to color. I'm not really shading much today because the images are so small. I'm just going to color these little squiggly things right in the middle of each side of the cross. And there's a little bit right there. Next, I'm going to use Rich Razzleberry. I'm actually going to put my glasses on because these lines are really small. There, that's better. And I'm going to use the fine tip just to trace those lines. And I'm going to actually leave the rest of the cross white. I wanted to leave some of the white space in there. Whoops. So this one is pretty easy to color. The lines, the ink lines are easy to follow. But if you're like me and you wear glasses, you may want to put them on. I actually haven't had to use my glasses this much. Just in the past couple years, my eyes seem to be getting worse. Of course, as we get older, that's what happens. Okay, one more. And then I'm going to color one more shade using the light smoky slate, I believe. Yes, light smoky slate. I'm going to bring this close up so you can see the book. You can see where I added some ink around the pages just to give it some detail. So I'm going to use the brush end. I'm just going to go right in the center here and add some shadows right here in the corner where it looks a little bit darker. If you actually follow where all the little dotted images are, that's where the shading, most of the shading goes. This kind of points it all out for you. And that's all I'm going to do there. And next I'm going to add some of the bling. And I opted to use the larger size just inside the little nooks and crannies here. So I just added 2. Oh, wait a minute, I forgot to color the inside of these little squiggly things right here. Okay, now I'm going to flip this over and add dimensionals. And this card will be done really quick. I got a really pretty one. So all of these cards are all pretty. I don't even know what my favorite one is. But you guys know that I'll be picking a name at the end of my video, probably tomorrow morning. And someone will win all three of these cards. So there's number one. Look how cute that is with the designer paper in the back. So let me go ahead and set up for card number two. Here's card number two. I'm going to use Wink of... Oh, you know what I forgot? I forgot to do my sentiments. Let me see if I can still put them in there. I'm going to try not to stamp too hard. There's the hope. And there's the faith. Okay, now we're ready for card two. Now, just because I am using this stamp set doesn't mean I have to stick with everything in this stamp set. I decided I wanted to add some poinsettias to this one. So I used the big flower right here from Poinsettia Petals, and I cut two of them out with the die. I've gone ahead and did that ahead of time just to save some time. And then I'm using the label shape from Celebration Labels. And it's actually number 3. So 1, 2, 3. And that's with Whisper White cardstock. Oh, I love all the hearts, you guys. You love card number 1. It gets better as we go, too. Misty Moonlight, 11 by 4 1/4, scored at 5 1/2. And this is the Snowflake designer paper, 5 1/4 by 4. And then we've got Whisper White for stamping. So let me go ahead and show you card number 2, adding poinsettia in the background. Isn't that pretty? So I'm going to go ahead and glue the designer paper in place. Now, who would have thought to add a poinsettia with the praying hands? But it works. It looks fabulous together. Stampin' Up! Gives us so many pretty products to play with. You can mix and match so many things. Okay, there's my designer paper. It is going to look a little different than this one. Next, I'm going to bring in the label shape along with the sentiment that says, "You're a blessing in my life." I had a lot of fun coming up with these cards. And I'm going to stamp this about there. And we also need the praying hands. So I'm going to go ahead and stamp those. I am going to have to fussy cut. So you guys will have to watch me cut just for a little bit. I think I have to cut on the last card also. You know what? I'm going to stop right here and color this first and then cut it out. Okay, I've got ivory blends. I'm going to go ahead and color that very quickly. I'm not even going to add any shading because there's so many details in the stamped portion of it. Then I'm going to use the light Seaside spray for the cuffs. Now I can cut it. It'll be easier to cut it out after I color. Hold on, I just got ink on my finger. You know what's going to happen. I seem to do that every time I do a video lately. I don't want to add ink on any of my white paper. Okay, let's move this. That's just an accident waiting to happen. Okay, I'm going to cut this out, and I'm just going to snip this a little bit curvy on the end. I'm leaving a little bit of white space. And then I'm going to color the poinsettia. I only need to color one of them, so that won't be too bad. Again, I steer my cardstock with my left hand when I'm cutting. It just works so much better for me. Okay, there's my little praying hands. Now I'm going to be using 3 shades of blue for the flower. I'm actually using the dark and the light Seaside Spray, and I wanted to add just a tint darker in the center that you see here. So this is going to be with the light Night of Navy. I'm going to start out with the darkest color, and I am only coloring 1. I'm just going to do a little bit just in the center. You can see I'm not adding a lot. Then the dark Seaside. And this is to blend the darker color and then go up towards the center where all the veins for the flowers are, or the petals. Whoops. Remember, when you're coloring with blend, you don't have to stick with the 2 in the same color family. You can add different shades to it. Okay, so far, this is what it looks like. Now I'm doing the light Seaside Spray to finish it off. And guess what we're going to add to make it nice and sparkly when we're done? We're going to make a sparkly flower with the clear wink of Stella. And I love coloring the poinsettias with a blue shade. I just think it's pretty. Okay, so there's my flower. Now let's go ahead and add the wink of Stella. I'm just going to color the whole thing. Let me see, I think I'm almost running out of my wink of Stella. I just need to make sure I'm getting some. Oh yeah, look how sparkly that is. Can you guys see that? This is my way of doing glitter. I hate using glitter that comes in containers because you get it everywhere. And don't be sneezing when you're using it too, because it'll fly everywhere. Okay, there's my flower. Look how pretty. I'm hoping you guys can see that. Okay, now the way I glued this in place, I started with gluing the white layer flat. It's going to be right in the center. Then we're going to glue the colored poinsettia. And then I'm going to show you a little trick that I used. Okay, so this is going to go right about there. Then we're going to add the hands. And because I'm layering it over the flower, I'm just going to add a dimensional on the top of the hand and then add some liquid glue on the bottom because that's going to be flat on the flower. That's going to go right here. Now what I did not want to cut the detailed poinsettia leaves that comes with the dies. So I'm using one of these and I'm actually making my own leaves by dissecting the flower. So I'm just going to make some double leaves and some single leaves. Let me see what else I've got here. We can do probably a 3. And then I'm just going to tuck them in. Look how pretty they look on this card. So I made my own leaves by using the poinsettia flower. So I'm going to start out with these 4. And I'm going to tuck underneath. Let's see, we need a big one right here. It's not going to look like the same as this one because the flower is facing a different direction. I'm going to add one more right here. And I think that's all that this one needs. So how about that? I made my own leaves with the poinsettia, with a second poinsettia. So there's card number 2. One more to go. Moving right along too. Now for this one, I am using the red rhinestone jewels. And I'm also using the plush poinsettia specialty designer paper. I just want to show you the 3 sheets. If you guys, I cut mine in 6x6. If you guys have never seen, this one has the poinsettia, and it's like a fuzzy, velvety finish to it. So there's that one, this one, and the third one is the one with the leaves. The one that I am using on card number 3 is this one. I'm going to bring my paper cutter in. And this time I'm using basic black, 11 by 4 1/4, scored at 5 1/2. Layer number 2 is 5 1/4 by 4. So I'm going to go ahead and glue that. Oh, you guys love the idea with the poinsettia leaves. Didn't that come out nice? Okay, so black, basic gray. Next, I'm going to cut this to 3 1/4. Actually, I'm going to need my other trimmer. 3 1/4 by 5. Now, the way I glue this, I didn't want to take a chance that the glue would show through the vellum. So I actually used some mini glue dots, and I tried to put them in areas that wouldn't show. So right between the little 4, it looks like a flower almost. I'm putting some right there. Anywhere that's pretty small that you know you can get away with. Whoops, that one didn't stick. If you put them anywhere in this area, I think it's going to show through. I just didn't want to take a chance. Let's see, a couple more. I'm going to go down here. Put one in each corner. So I am using a lot of mini glue dots, but at least they won't show through. So I probably have about 10 or 12 here. Okay, now we can go ahead and glue that in place. Now look how white that is when you look at it, but when you put the gray, look how much it stands out by putting a darker color underneath. Isn't that pretty? Now I'm going to show you the card. This is the card. Look how rich that looks with the red. So we're going to need to do a couple stamped images, and then a couple that I'm going to have to cut. So there's, oh, not the praying hands. We need the cross. So again, I'm using Memento Black. And we've got the Bible. Oh, you guys like that one. Thank you. I do too. I don't know which one's my favorite. And then while I have the ink, and I'm actually going to put it away after I'm done here, just so I don't make a mess anywhere, I'm going to do the sentiment on real red. And let's put this away before we make a mess. And then the everyday label punch. Now I have to tell you guys, I get a lot of messages on Facebook, both on my personal page and my business page. And I actually had someone that requested for me to use this stamp set. I searched and I searched and I searched, and I can't remember who had asked me to do this class. So I apologize for that. Okay, now I'm going to do Real Red Light, just for the little bookmark right here. So if you're watching and you requested this class, please take credit for that. Okay, again, I'm going to use the light smoky slate just to add detail to the pages. Okay, that one's done. Now the next one, I'm going to use dark crumb cake. And I'm actually going to color most of the cross. I just have to make sure. Okay, I did on the inside. I did the inside of here. And you could shade this one if you wanted to, but I chose not to. Almost done. And this one, there is a lot of little curvy areas that you got to go around, but it's not bad. Okay, now comes in the red rhinestone jewels. And you know what? I'm actually going to color. Oh, I did color. I just missed that one. Red rhinestone jewels. I have 4 of them. Don't you think the red, there's not a lot of red here, but it just makes everything pop. I just love what the red does to the gray and the black. Okay, here goes with the cutting. And if you guys don't like to cut, you don't like to watch this, just cover your eyes while I cut. I know a lot of you guys are cringing. We talk about this quite often. Look how easy this is. This is just straight lines with a couple curves. There's nothing to it. We are spoiled by having so many dies and punches with our sets, but this one, you got to work a little bit at it. And you know, I glued these on with dimensional, so it looks even better on the card. If you were to stamp this flat on white, it's just not as pretty. The height gives it a lot of dimension. Okay, look how quick that was. Now we're going to do the cross. This one takes a little bit more time, but look, it's really not that bad. If you don't want to do this, you don't want a fussy cut, you could always cut out a die cut oval to put on the center and just stamp it on the oval. I think that would look great also. We have so many label shapes that you can use that would be pretty in the center. So I can't wait for you guys to try some of these cards. I have heard from a lot of you that you had this stamp set and you just didn't know what to do with it. So there, I gave you 3 ideas. And please add them to our Facebook page so everyone can see. Look, I'm almost done. I'm 3/4 of the way there. And I'm even talking at the same time. One more section. Okay, phew, we made it. Now, let's go ahead. I need some more dimensionals right here. I'm going to add dimensionals to everything you see here. And it glues really nicely to this little fuzzy stuff, the little fuzzy velvety stuff. Okay, I'm going to start out with my little Bible. And I'm going to glue that about here. Then I'm going to glue the cross because I want to tuck the sentiment behind the cross. Just make sure it's nice and straight when you glue it on. And lastly is the sentiment. And we're going to tuck that behind the Bible and behind the cross. Maybe. It's sticking to the little fuzzy. I know what I'm going to do. Hold on. I'm going to put that in and then I'm going to flip this over it. There we go. So there's card number 3, everyone. That's 3 cards for you. And that was what? In about 30 minutes I did 3 cards. Of course everything's cut out. But let me bring everything back in. So this was card number 3, card number 2, card number 1, and the stamp set that I used today. So everyone, I'll be announcing the winner of one set of these cards sometime tomorrow morning probably. So I hope you have a good day, have a good week, and I hope to see you soon. And thanks for joining me today. Bye-bye.